Hello everybody and welcome back to Health First Freelancer. I'm Amanda, your OG Health First Freelancer. And today I want to talk to you about my experience taking LDN or low dose naltrexone. If you're not here from my last video, which is about what I did after taking high dose vitamin D, I talked in that video about a few of the strategies, including high dose vitamin D, that I used to start my recovery from chronic Lyme disease and ulcerative colitis, and LDN was one of those things. So this video is going to specifically zero in on LDN, what it is, how I started it, how I found my ideal dose, troubleshooting some of the side effects that come with LDN, the benefits I saw, and why I think it works so well for me, and of course, ultimately, how that could translate to you. So if you're thinking about trying LDN for chronic Lyme disease, for autoimmune disease, for chronic pain, or even depression, I hope this video is full of helpful information for you, and let's get into it. So as I mentioned before, I started taking LDN specifically as a treatment for ulcerative colitis, which is one of its known use cases. And if you don't already know, LDN stands for low dose naltrexone. So naltrexone is the regular drug. And at full doses, it's actually used to treat opioid addiction and opioid overdose, perhaps somewhat ironically, but it's an opioid receptor antagonist, meaning it blocks opioid receptors in the body. So people who are addicted to opioids, when they're taking this medication, they don't get the high feeling from opioids because the receptors in the brain and in the body are blocked by the drug. That's what happens at high 50 to 100 milligram doses. Researchers found a number of years ago now, decades ago really, that low doses of naltrexone between 1 to 6 milligrams can modulate the immune system, can lower inflammation, particularly neuroinflammation in the body and in the brain. It can also support the central nervous system and also increases circulating endorphins in the body. Endorphins being your happy hormones. But even though this was discovered many, many years ago now, LDN is still considered an off-label use of the medication. So your typical primary care doctor or even a specialist won't know about it and won't probably prescribe it to you. But functional medicine doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, even people on the alternative holistic side of medicine have known about LDN for a long time and will often prescribe it for conditions like autoimmune disease and in some cases chronic pain or other conditions. And I just kind of happened to get lucky that my ND knew about it and decided that it was a good course of treatment for me for ulcerative colitis back in 2019. So that's how I started LDN. So LDN typically isn't a medication that you'll just randomly start taking. You will typically slowly increase it. So you'll start at maybe 0.5 milligrams, go up to 1 milligram, then 1.5, and so on until you get to a therapeutic dose, which most practitioners are targeting around a 4.5 milligram dose. So for me, fortunately or unfortunately, I had a very clear marker of whether this was working for me, which was bleeding. If you know what ulcerative colitis is, then you know. If you don't, then just trust me. That was what we were looking for. We were looking for the bleeding to stop, and as a result, inflammation in my gut to significantly decrease. So as you do, my ND started me at 0.5 milligrams for a few days, and then 1 milligram, and then 1.5, and so on until we reached the target 4.5 milligrams. And until we got up to that dose, I should say I did not see a change in symptoms. But once we got to that dose, it didn't take very long before the bleeding stopped. So there were definitely things I still needed to do to heal my gut after this happened, but after being locked in this life or death struggle for months with chronic Lyme, again, still undiagnosed at this time, and having the ulcerative colitis flare for months and being on steroids and all of that, this felt like a true miracle. So that went pretty well for a while, but there was one problem. When you take LDN, ideally you're supposed to take it at night before bed because that's when your body naturally produces these endogenous opioids, endorphins. But a side effect that can come from that is having some pretty vivid dreams. And y'all, when I say vivid dreams, for me, it was more like vivid nightmares. I can't even explain to you some of the insanity that was flashing across my eyeballs every night, but it was starting to drive me a little crazy. Like after 2 weeks, I was like, I can't keep doing this every night. Like I feel like I'm going to some alternate universe that is real messed up. And finally, I asked my ND if I could switch to taking it in the morning, and he said that was fine. So I want to say that this went pretty well for about a month or so, but after a while, I did start to see some bleeding again. So after consulting with my practitioner, we decided that I would try a 4 milligram dose in the morning and a 1.5 milligram dose at night. And this turned out to be the kind of perfect recipe for me. And my ulcerative colitis went back into remission, and I got to skip out on the crazy dreams/nightmares because the 1.5 milligram dose was low enough that I didn't have those side effects at night. And this is the LDN protocol I've been following ever since. Okay, so some of the real life benefits I saw from taking LDN was definitely lowering inflammation in my gut and healing tissue in my gut, which was obviously the main goal. However, then we have to talk about the brain benefits a little bit more, because I noticed after a while that it basically healed this sort of low-grade depression I had had since I was probably 10 or 11 years old. Like, I don't think I knew how depressed I actually was until I was undepressed. And then it was like, oh, is this how regular people just feel all the time? Like, I kid you not, life had colors I had never seen before, or at least hadn't seen since I was a small child. I took on a general tone of optimism instead of cynical pessimism all the time. Like, I actually have zero tolerance for that kind of perspective anymore. And that's just like how I was living my life until I was 25 or 26 years old. I told you guys that I had like somewhat of a similar effect to this from the high dose vitamin D as well, but this was definitely like next level. Also, my motivation went from like a 3 on a daily basis to like a 9 or a 10 on a consistent basis. Like, I used to have to force myself to do kind of just normal everyday things like work or schoolwork or taking a shower or feeding myself. But with LDN, I could just do stuff that I needed to do without it feeling like I was climbing Mount Doom every day. Again, like normal people, I guess. Who knew? Not me. I started feeling creative again. I definitely got the motivation to start my business around this time. That was not a coincidence at all. It's almost like what I imagine people talk about when they microdose psilocybin or mushrooms or something. Like, it was like a bunch of possibilities for my life suddenly became clear to me. So I think there are a few reasons why this worked for me. I think a big one was lowering systemic inflammation in my gut and in my body in general. Definitely also helping to modulate the immune system for the autoimmune stuff, for ulcerative colitis. And also, I think helping to regulate my nervous system, like in a way that I didn't even know that I needed. And I think that's where a lot of the kind of depression stuff comes into play. And it definitely set the stage for my gut to do some serious healing over the next months and years. But if I had to narrow it down to like 2 root cause things that I think it helped with, it would be lowering inflammation and nervous system support. I think those were probably the 2 biggest things that helped me feel a lot better and honestly changed my life. And as I mentioned in my other video, I think it also probably helped target some of the chronic Lyme disease at the time. So that was another unseen benefit. Okay, so now I've made LDN sound really amazing, and it is, but like any other medication, it doesn't always work for everyone. It depends on the root cause of your unique health issues and, of course, your specific genetics and biology. So for example, my mom, someone who I share a lot of genetics with, tried LDN for a while for an autoimmune issue and it didn't help her at all. But I'm willing to bet that LDN might work for you if you have a chronic infection like chronic Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr virus, Bartonella, etc., etc. If you have an autoimmune condition, especially lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, IBD, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease, and in some cases, Hashimoto's and chronic fatigue. If you have a history of nervous system dysregulation, especially from very young childhood, if you have a history of depression or anxiety that other medicines or other strategies have not helped with, and if you have chronic inflammation that other strategies have not helped. If any of those sound like you, I think LDN is worth a try. It basically has 0 side effects except for the vivid dreams thing. And for most people that goes away within a week or so. I'm just special, I guess. Other than that, you only have potential benefits to gain. Now you do have to get a prescription for LDN. It is a medication. And it has to be filled by a compounding pharmacy because it's an off-label use of the drug. So that typically means that LDN is not covered by insurance. However, the good news is that it's pretty inexpensive. A typical 30-month supply costs between $30 to $50. For me personally, I typically fill a 3-month supply at a time, and that costs me $99 per prescription. So I have 2 prescriptions, so it costs me about $200 for 3 months, but for me, that's still well worth it. And by the way, that price hasn't really changed. I don't think it's changed at all since I started taking LDN in 2019. So that's pretty awesome. And of course, it's another reason that the healthcare system isn't using it because it's cheap and they want you to pay for biologics. But I digress. But if you want to try LDN, I would look for a functional medicine doctor or a naturopathic doctor in your area. My naturopathic doctor was able to prescribe me LDN by partnering with a MD on their staff. So you just kind of got to do some research, look into people in your area and see who is familiar with using LDN and someone who can help you find your ideal dose. One other thing that I forgot to mention, if you're interested, there are a lot of research studies on LDN specifically, and there's a great website called the LDN Research Trust. They pretty much have compiled, as far as I know, like all existing research on LDN and its benefits and the conditions it treats and all that stuff. So if you're interested in digging up a little bit more info on the scientific literature, go there and check out some of those studies. Okay, so I think that's about it. LDN really helped me heal my gut, and it turns out it really helped me heal my brain too, which was an unexpected but very welcome benefit. And for what it's worth, I am someone who definitely tries to be as natural, holistic, drug-free as possible, but this is something that really helps me for now. And you know what? Every once in a while, modern medicine does get things right. So I have no shame in using this as a support tool for now. And if this can help someone out there achieve remission of their chronic illness or be pain-free, then it's well worth it. Honestly, I have tried to go off LDN in the name of being drug-free in the past, and so far it has not gone well. It hasn't stuck. So whether it's LDN or another medication, if you're doing other things to support your nutrition, your lifestyle, stress management, all those kinds of things, and you need a little extra support, then in my opinion, there's no shame in that. And we're all just trying to do the best that we can. But that's my little PSA. And now we're here at the end of the video. So if you made it here, thank you so much. And tell me in the comments if you are interested in taking LDN and why. And if you happen to already be taking LDN, also please share your experience in the comments below. And let me know, did you have some crazy, vivid nightmare dreams as well? Or was that literally just me? If you haven't already, please also subscribe and give this video a like. I think by the time this video goes up, we will be past 5,000 subscribers on this channel, which is so crazy and fun. I'm so happy to be making these videos for you guys, and I hope it helps even a few people, even one person. It's really starting to be a truly rewarding and fulfilling part of my job, which is amazing. So thank you so much for being here. And whatever video pops up on the screen here, YouTube thinks you will enjoy watching this video next, in which case I will talk to you very soon. Bye!